I'm going to teach you about the top 5 piano exercises for beginners. Now, this is a live stream follow-up to a video I put out recently under the same name, but we are going to go into a little bit more detail. I especially want to go into more detail about those Burgmuller exercises that I talked about in that video. And if you wonder what video I'm talking about, the link will be in the description. You can watch it after our live session today. So anyway, by the way, we are live. Let me know if you can't see me or hear me. Pretty important. But otherwise, I just want to say hello, everybody. Welcome to our live stream. So let's get started here. Again, it's the top 5 piano exercises for beginners. And I have a question that to start everything out. So as I introduce these first topics here, I want you to answer this in the question or in the comments, and it would really help me if you could do so. So the question is, what piano exercises are you working on right now, if any? So maybe you're brand new and you're just learning out of a piano lesson book for the first time. Maybe some 5-finger exercises, just kind of from up to C to G. Or maybe you know some scales, things like that. Maybe some Hanon exercises. So let me know what you are currently working on down below. I would love, love, love to hear from you guys. All right, guys, let's get started. So the first thing, the first exercises here, I want to kind of blow through these fairly quick because I did go through these in that video I told you about in more detail that, of course, you will watch after we are done today, right? Of course. But let's go through some of these real quick just so we're all on the same page. So the 5-finger exercise is always the first one you want to start out with. You're going to start out by placing your leftmost finger, let's say over C, and lay the rest of your fingers over the next consecutive notes. We call that C position there. And then all you do is you go from C up to G and then back down, and that's your 5-finger exercise. And you want to learn to do them over a few different places like G, and lastly D. Just like that. All right, we have an answer here. Hold on, guys. Just let me get one thing caught up here. Let's get me in the chat. Oh, sorry about this. This is always a fun thing to get situated here. There we go. We got the chat in here now. We got some answers to my question. One said chord voicings. That's good to know. That's a little bit more advanced than what we're talking about right now. But I can certainly do a lesson on that in the near future. But that's great. Practicing scales and arpeggios. That's good to know. Because when you guys reply to these things, it kind of lets me know where you guys are at in terms of your playing ability. And that kind of helps me plan for future videos like chord voicings. I didn't even think about that. Well, welcome everybody. If there's anybody else that wants to kind of share with us, or maybe you're a new student, always feel free to say hello. We are a very open community here. We always love to learn together. So let's continue here. And then when I'm going over one of these exercises, say 5-finger exercises, things like that, and you have any questions, just let me know in the chat and I can answer them, you know, as we go through these. So anyway, let's go through scales a little bit. Scales are really important because they show you visually all the notes that exist in a key. So for example, the key of C, by definition, has 0 sharps, 0 flats. And when you learn the C major scale, you are learning the notes in order, starting from C and then back down. Now that's pretty easy to visualize, but each key signature has a different set of sharps or flats. For example, the key of D has 2 sharps, F and C sharp, and by learning that scale, I know visually what notes are supposed to be played in that song. Because if a song is in the key of D, you're going to have a lot of F sharps and C sharps, and you're going to need to know where on the piano spatially that those exist. So that's the important thing about scales. We're not going to go through all of them today. I actually have a scales lesson specifically planned in the near future. So you may be wondering, where do I learn my scales? And I'm wondering that too, because I don't see the book. Here it is. And you'll always, if you join us live, you will always enjoy my mildly funny sense of humor. Anyway, we have our book of scales, chords, arpeggios, and cadences. If you want to learn all your scales, I highly recommend you pick it up there. I guess there's a couple online resources, but I'm going to be honest, this book does such a great job. It blows all of that out of the water because it introduces you to the scales in the order of which you're supposed to learn them. So it introduces you to some theory things in the beginning, which is great. But then boom, it's each scale. C major, next one's G, I bet. Oh wow, it's like I actually read through this book many times before. D major. And the great thing about learning these in order is you learn them in the order of difficulty, right? So first you learn the key of C, 0 sharp, 0 flats. Then the first scale you're going to learn after that is the key of G, which has 1 sharp. Then you're going to learn the key of D, which has 2 sharps. Then you'll learn the key of A, which has how many? 3. And then you're going to learn the one with 4. And this is going to introduce it to you all in a package that's very easy. We also cover scales in a lot of detail in my course, Playing the Piano Level 3. I had to remember whether it was learning the piano or playing the piano. Playing the Piano Level 3, my course over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com. We go into scales, and actually this book in a decent amount of detail. Hey, thanks. I want to say thank you to Deb real quick. If I could hit the right button, that would be great. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Really, really happy that you did that. Thank you so much. And to all the channel members, you guys help me out quite a bit. We have quite a few channel members now, and that's really a cool thing. I need to plan something special for members, but I need some time to think on that. All right, let me know if you have any questions about scales or chord. Well, we didn't do chords yet. Scales or 5-finger exercises. Let's talk a little bit about arpeggios first. Let's get our hands on the keys here. And let's take a look. Somebody said practicing scales and arpeggios. Very good. So an arpeggio, here's what we call a block chord. When you play 3 notes at a time. More specifically, it's called a triad, right? And all an arpeggio is instead of playing it as a block chord all at once, you are playing it 1 note at a time. C, E, G. Just like that. Pretty easy, eh? Now, with arpeggios, they like to play multiple octaves because that's a lot of times how you will see it in your music. And there's definitely a lot of piano technique that can be derived from this. Because if you just play it with any old fingering, any old way, it's going to sound really disjointed. So listen here. It didn't sound terrible, but it was ba-ba-ba, space, ba-ba-ba, space. And if you want to do it more smoothly, you have to learn the appropriate finger technique going up multiple octaves. Now again, I want to save some time here at the end of the lesson to talk about the Burgmuller exercises. So we're just going to introduce you to arpeggios. But your question may be, Tim, how do you learn all your arpeggios? And it's in the same book. So pick this up if you really want to take your piano skills, technique is actually a better word, to the next level. Okay, and then learning all of these things. Hello, Sam. Sam's here. Our mod says, hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good time with the workshop. Well, I am. I know that I am, at least. All right. Hopefully you guys are having a decent time as well. Anyway, the point I wanted to make real quick is that learning all of these exercises is really important if you want to learn piano effectively, because guess what? You're going to see in your pieces arpeggios. You've probably even heard that pattern of notes before. You're going to hear, things like scales in a piece, things like that. And if we have some time at the end, I'll try to find some sheet music that kind of ties in a lot of this stuff. But the final exercises we're going to cover actually does cover that. So maybe we should just hold on for now. All right, I want to breeze through real quick about another favorite exercise of mine, and that is Hanon Exercise. Hello, Block Nerd in the chat. And what is a Hanon exercise? Well, let me see if I can define this without necessarily looking at it. Okay. So a lot of times in scales, like with scales, we're playing in parallel, meaning we're playing the same note just an octave apart. And the same thing applies to Hanon exercises, especially like the first 20 or so, because they involve playing in parallel, playing the same note, just up an octave, but the pattern changes. Notice how instead of playing them all in a row, it'll be something more like this. And each pattern, each Hanon exercise has a different pattern. Like that's Hanon exercise number 2, I believe. It's just slightly different. And the one great thing about Hanon exercises is they work out a specific part of your hand. So this first one here has a gap between the first 2 notes, and it's going to work out the bottom part of each of your hands. So between the pinky and this one here, I need to cut my nail there, and between the thumb and here where that distance occurs. And each exercise introduces you to a new pattern. Now, I do have a link for this. You can find these for free, hanon-online.com. I did remember a link in the description this time. I know when I put out the video, I forgot, and somebody was like, oh, don't forget me. And I was like, I did, sorry. So anyway, links in the description. I did cover these in a lot more detail in the video I posted. Sorry, everybody, I got some allergies going on. So I take a look at that video after today, and that will catch you up. Okay, now, I mentioned before, but I want to mention again. I guess this is good enough. There are 2 more sets of exercises, but I really want to mention this. At the end of today's live stream, I want you to watch the video, Top 5 Exercises for Beginners. It's a video I put out really recently. In fact, give me a second here, guys. In fact, let me find it so you know what to look for. All right, we're here. There you go. That's a lot better. Okay, so you want to check out this video right here, Top 5 Piano Exercises for Beginners. Check that out as soon as we are done today, because that will catch you up on all the things we kind of just glossed over so far in the beginning of this lesson, but I wanted to make sure I covered them in case we had any questions about it. Guys, just give me 1 second here. I have to go blow my nose. Sorry. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. That was really bothering me. Anyway, okay, we don't have any new comments or questions. So check out that video. Let's continue here because, like I said, I wanted to cover... Oh, I forgot. We got to talk about Czerny real quick. Now, what I want you to do... Give me a second here, guys. Is I want you to go to pianoexercises.org. You don't have to do this right now. And I do have a link in the description. However, I do want to say, with the link in the description, this is very important. If you just click on the link in the description, it might say, like, can't connect or something to the website. What you do, and I think that's like a preventative measure they put on this website to prevent bots and things like overloading the website. So what you got to do is you have to copy that link in the description and paste it in the URL box and then hit enter, and it should work. But anyway, let's click on Carl Czerny. So here we are, and we're going to take a look at the School of Velocity real quick. Honestly, any of these collections of exercises are really good, but these I really like, especially after learning the other exercises I told you about, because it combines a lot of ideas together, a lot of technique together. So like, for instance, this first one here has a lot of just chords in the left hand, scales in the right hand. And they're just different, like, kind of versions of the C major scale. And it's really kind of a brain twister because you have to think about what fingers hit where, since it's slightly different. But anyway, let's just play the first line of this. Hopefully I'm not too rusty. So I got the first two lines in. You can hear that it's a lot of scales, a lot of finger crossings, things like that. And this has presto, which is awfully quick, I think. Faster than I can play. Obviously, that's too fast. So what I would do in that case, hold on, is I would grab the metronome. If this ever happens, and you're like, man, I can't play this exercise no matter what I do at full speed. I can play it slow, but not at the speed they want me to do it. You want to get a metronome. You want to set it slow at first. Is that set? No, okay, I just set wrong. Sorry about that. 4. And it counts out each of the 4 beats. 2, 3, 4. And then what I would do is I would play it at that slow tempo. Maybe we'll make a lesson on this at some point. I'll do it at a slow tempo. And once I can accomplish that with the metronome at this speed, then I knock it up just one little thing. And I try it again. If I can manage it at that speed, I knock it up. And eventually, I'll be at the speed I need to go. If you just try to jump headfirst into the speed you need to go, you're probably, much like I couldn't right here, be able to do it. But I think that's a great lesson idea to kind of show how you can get something up to speed the right way. I'll have to think about that. Okay, let's continue here. Let's see what Sam always has like the best comments. Let's see here. If I may also add, Microcosmos. I think, yeah, Microcosmos by Bella Bartok is also a great comprehensive list of pieces with increasing difficulty. Very true. I have played, I played a different collection of Bartok. It had something to do with like Bartok one time traveled around the world and wrote, I believe that's Bartok, and wrote like kind of pieces around the places of the world that he visited. Jeez, I forget what that's called. There's like a collection of pieces. I've played those, but I'm going to have to take a look. I've definitely heard of this before, Microcosmos. That's why it took me a second to... I'm going to look this up. Let's see if we can look it up right now, actually. You know, maybe we can learn together. It's similar to Czerny, and they're musical as well. Okay, let's look this up. Give me a second, everybody. Okay, we're almost there. I think we're almost there. Sorry, everybody. Here we go. All right. Let me make sure we got the right thing here. Yeah. All right, we're good. I think this is what Sam was talking about. Let's take a look at this together and see if it's... Oh, I'm sure it's great. Okay, you know what I like already is that this is very similar to Czerny. I like this because it's actually a little bit easier to start out with than Czerny. You know, doing this, you do have to have some piano technique to be able to do that. Not that you need a lot to do that, but this I feel like somebody could play like the first couple days playing piano. And I think the challenge here would be holding the notes for their correct value. The correct value. So let's scroll down. Okay. So actually, you know what? These are like 5-finger exercises pretty much. Yeah, I like this a lot. And they are progressively harder. And it goes real slow too, right? They get progressively harder, but not like right away. Okay, that's interesting. There's one thing right here that really threw me off. I want you guys to answer this in the comments. What is weird about this first measure? There's something weird about it. I want you guys to tell me what it is. I'm going to test your ability to kind of pick things out here, because in music you got to look for, patterns and things like that. So answer me this. What is weird about this measure right here? There's something weird. Somebody says, why your name is too long, I can't read it. I'm just going to call you Y. You said, hello, what did I miss? You missed a lot of stuff. You'll have to watch it later. Rena Sam says, this is cursed. It's weird because it has notes. Well, that's not that weird, right? There is something very cursed about this. Let me know. I'm only going to move on until somebody gets it, I think. I know Sam knows it. Sam right away picked it out, I'm sure. 2 beats in a bar. Okay. Well, let's think about that for a second. So remember that a half note is worth 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we actually do have 4 beats here, just 2 different notes. Says 4, 4, right? So you'd expect maybe 4 quarter notes. But remember, these are half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do have the correct number of half notes. It's the flats. Okay. Let's take a look here at this. Now, you actually, Leanne, are on the right track by saying it's the flats, but it's not flats. It's something else. It's something else. F sharp, that's right. Trixie got it right. So the F sharp, specifically the one in the treble clef, is not on the right F. You're not supposed to write the first F on the bottom space for the treble clef. It's supposed to be, let me see if I can find the right. Well, you know what? Let's just do it this way. It's supposed to be the top line. So the sharps are supposed to appear here in the bass clef and there in the treble clef. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of test you guys on that just to see if you could pick it out. It is indeed cursed. Very good. Trixie, you get 10 points. I don't know what the points really do. I don't think it's much like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points don't matter, but you have 10 points. Maybe it was included on the bottom G to aid learners. Yeah, probably. That probably is what they were thinking, Sam, in that. All right, let's continue here because we are finally at the place I wanted to be, which is the Burgmuller 25 Easy and Progressive Studies. Again, there is a link in the description. If you click on it and it says, like, can't connect the page or some weird stuff like that, remember, copy the link. Just copy it. We all know how to do that. Control-C, I think. And then you go up into the URL bar and then paste it and hit enter. That's how you got to do it. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. Anyway, let's talk about these a little bit. So these are by Burgmuller. I discovered these pretty recently. And honestly, I was blown away because I think these are the perfect thing to practice after playing maybe, 5 or 10 of those Czernys. One question I get a lot is like, how many of these exercises do I need to learn before moving on to the next one? And I'll give you the best answer I can right now. The answer is it kind of depends, but I'll give you an answer. So 5-finger exercises were the ones we learned first. I would learn C, position, G position, probably D, and A. So what is that, 4? And then maybe even over F. So I learned 4 or 5 of those. The more you're able to play those in different areas, the better. If you could even play them starting on every key, let me see if I can do it. Oop. There you go, that one has a lot of sharps. Oops. I always want to start playing the scale, but I got to remember it's 5-finger exercises. So learn 4 of those, 4 or 5 of those. Then with your scales, you want to learn every major scale at least to start out with. I think that's 11 scales, right? You got C, C sharp, and then you move them all to C. Again, this book will take you where you need to go. Arpeggios, as you learn the chord or scale, excuse me. So say you learn the C major scale. Along with that, I would learn the C major arpeggio. And I would try to learn it 4 octaves if you can. It's going to be a little tricky to do. So then you're going to learn 11 arpeggios with that. And then once you learn those, then I would learn about 10 Hanon. And then once you learn those, I'd learn about 10 Czerny. And then once you learn those, I'd learn 10 of these. And then once you do that, you can go back to Hanon and learn the next 10 after the first 10 you learned. All right. I might have to blow my nose again, guys. Sorry about that. All right, guys, we back. Sorry, my allergies have been really bad. I think it was turning on the heater for the first time today. All right, let's talk about these. So I was blown away by these. Because they introduce simple patterns that are pretty similar to the patterns you're going to see in your actual music, a lot like the Czernys, except these are just different types of exercises, and they introduce you to different things. For instance, the line I just played, it was only maybe 50% of it, and you may be thinking, what are you talking about? You played all the notes. Well, notice how in the beginning it says dolce, which means to play sweetly. Maybe just more a little bit light on the keys. It also says piano, so that goes along with dolce. And then there's a decrescendo there, so you're going to get quieter there. And then so on and so forth. So the thing I'm trying to get across here is, in addition to the notes, there's a lot more to focus on to get music to sound the way it does. Now, there's one more thing. Say I was learning this for real. One more thing I'd have to add in, which is the speed. It says allegro moderato at the top. Quarter note equals 152. Now, you're like, well, what does that mean? Where does that number come into play? Well, remember, there's a bunch of numbers here. There it is. There's a bunch of numbers here on the metronome. My metronome's dusty. You can see that I use it all the time. I actually do use it quite a bit. I'm surprised it's this dusty. But anyway, what you do is you set the metronome to 152, which is right here, and this is going to be pretty fast. So that would be pretty quick. And that's the speed you will want to work up to. Again, 152 is probably going to be too much. You might want to dial it back like to half that speed and then slowly get yourself back up to speed. Now, one thing, this is very, very important. When you're learning a piece or you're listening, make sure you're listening. When you're learning a piece, the speed, Allegro or whatever it is at the top of the page. I would focus on that very last. I would layer it like a cake. Number one is getting the right notes and getting your hand in the right positions, stuff like that. Number two is making sure you have the correct rhythm. So once you have the correct notes, make sure you have the correct rhythm. And then after that, make sure you add in the finer details like piano, crescendos, those dynamics, things like that. And then at the very, very end, the last piece of the puzzle is the speed. Now, why is that? Well, there's a lot to cover before you cover the speed, right? Getting the right notes, getting the right rhythms, getting all the articulations and dynamics in there. There's a lot to focus on. So if you try to get that speed as your first thing, all of these other details are just going to fall apart. Believe me, I know from a lot of experience. Somebody says, started working on Czerny Opus 599 a few weeks ago. Well, that's great. Fantastic. And congratulations on making it this far, because you do have to make it somewhat far to be able to play those. But let's continue here. Take a look. I think this view is the best one. Sorry, guys. And one thing I want to point out is as you go, they get progressively harder. And they are organized in a way where it looks and sounds like a real piece. Now, we are going to learn a new word. And that word is etude. An etude is a piece. Well, it's like a practice piece. It's something that sounds like a regular piano piece, but it's more like an exercise. Remember, etude is like a practice exercise that sounds like a piece. So, like Hanon, those aren't etudes, really. Like, this does not really sound like a song, right? But, however, the Czerny ones, whatever it was, I think I hit the wrong chord there. But that one has more of a song-type quality to it, or like a piano piece. So, the Czerny ones, those are etudes. All right, guys. Let's continue here. I did play this one. I've played this one quite a few times before. I actually played it in a recital. Yeah, let's get the piano up here. Long ago. Now, this is what I want you guys to get across with these exercises, and why I love them so much is they vary so much in style and what techniques are being used between each one. So what I want to do actually first, just remind you, this one sounds like this first one. Remember, real light on the keys. You got to play it sweetly, which is what dolce means. Now, let's play the next one and see if you can hear a difference. Let me try again. Very, very different. Very different in its quality. It's Allegro scherzando. A scherzando, I think, is like kind of a joke type of piece. But, we got staccatos going on. Still light on the keys. But I wouldn't call this dolce. I don't know. I'd call it something else. Maybe Allegro scherzando is what I'd call it. And there's just a lot of different things they introduce in each type of piece. One thing I want to tell you. Notice how this part does this? Where you play a pattern just on different notes. We call that sequencing. So we're going to learn a new word today. All right, and then take a look at number 3 here. Number 3, it's a lot different than the other one we just played. This one is in 6/8, and it's going to sound quite a bit different. So let me try this. I haven't played this one very much. and then it continues. But you can see, even by the end of the second line, it really changes quite a lot in character. And let me try to play the second part here. So quite a bit different. I really like this, actually. I would learn this for real. It just has a really nice sound to it. And it's also fun to play. All right, at the end here, I'm going to play the end 2 measures. I want you to try to pick out what I just played. And try again. What did I just play there? Specifically in the right hand. And you may be thinking to yourself, oh, you explained this earlier when you were explaining arpeggios, right? So remember, an arpeggio, instead of playing a block chord, you play the notes separately up and down on the piano. And I told you that these would appear in your real pieces, and see, I wasn't playing around. All right, let's go over these. Oh, we got a bunch of comments here. Let's read through them. That reminds me, this is by Sam, a composer I found by the name of Alexander Godike. I don't know if I've ever heard that name. Also has many easy piano pieces. Okay, I have to write this down. Sam is bringing out the knowledge today. I don't know if I've ever heard this composer, Alexander Godike, or Godick? Godike? I don't know. Let's not insult the man. Let me. Is that a German? I think it looks German to me. Okay, Opus 60. I'm gonna check that out. I had to write that down. Once again, I dropped my pencil. Okay, let's see what else people have to say. I'm not able to practice my piano. Oh no. This is from Muffin Comic. I am going through this phase of zero motivation. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. And regular work makes it even worse. The biggest hurdle is getting slower with sight reading. Help. Okay. Do this. I'm not able to practice my piano. I'm going through this phase of zero motivation. Okay. And regular work makes it even worse. Okay, so you're not able to practice your piano. I assume, or I guess it's the zero motivation maybe that's getting in your way. What I would like to do, because I get this comment a lot or frequently enough, that what I want to tell you to do is I want you to spend some time remembering why you started playing piano in the first place. Did somebody inspire you? Was it a teacher you had? Was it an artist that you really like? And what I want you to do is I want you to spend some time over the next few weeks kind of re-embracing why you love music. There's got to be a reason, and that reason still exists. I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. When I started this channel, my motivation was super duper high, and I loved what I was doing it. And I still did that throughout the years. I still have that, okay? However, there have been many times in my life, luckily the last few years have been a little calmer, so I've been able to kind of recollect myself. But I had a rough few years there. You know, I had a lot of deaths in my family, like my mom died of a horrible illness, you know. And so I lost my passion for what I was doing too. And that was like when I first moved out here 5 or 6 years ago. I had the same kind of thing where I was like, do I love this anymore? Do I really want to do this anymore? You know, and part of me knew that I still loved what I did. I just didn't feel it, right? And sometimes when we go through life, the motivation, the love is there. It's just you can't feel it, right? It's like being married for a long time, right? Which other people would know better than me. But, you know, when you're married for a long time, there are going to be times that you don't feel or any relationship, friendship too. There are going to be times where you feel the love. And there are going to be times where you don't feel the love. And just remember that the love is still there. You just have to reconnect with it. So there could be something going on in your life that's maybe not piano related that's kind of causing this to happen more. But I think what you should do is remember why you love playing piano. You know, if you love Taylor Swift, just as an example, not saying maybe you do, you know, listen to her new album or listen to the album that really got you motivated to start playing. Remember that teacher that inspired you to play maybe, and maybe reconnect with them on some level, even if it was just saying hello or something like that. So that's what I recommend. All right. Sorry, guys. I kind of went on a long tangent, but that's what I recommend to you. Your problem it doesn't sound like it's at the piano keys as much. It sounds like it's up here. And a lot of the motivation, you know, they say it's like 90% perspiration, 10% inspiration. I disagree with that sentiment because it's the inspiration that makes you want to do the perspiration, you know, makes you want to do the work. So just spend some time reconnecting. And then the work I do want you to do at the keys is I want you to play songs that you just love to play, right? You've been playing a while, so there's probably at least a couple of songs that you liked more than the other ones. And I want you to just enjoy yourself playing for the next few weeks. Don't let the extra stress of being out of sorts make things worse, you know. So anyway, let's see here. Poser I found, I'm not able. Okay, next question. Hey, I learned that one-on-one at one point. I learned that one at one point. Very true. Hello, everybody. Just left my piano lesson. Good timing for the live stream. Excellent. We're towards the end a little bit here, but you did make it today, and we'll stick around for a few minutes. This is fantastic. Thank you. Felt the same way a couple months ago. Stick with it and enjoy it, even if it wasn't doing well and getting worse, and just let go of all expectations. That's great. So that's kind of what I was saying. Don't let the frustration make things worse. Really dive into what you love about learning piano. So he says, so sorry for your loss, Muffin Comic. I appreciate that a lot. I mean, it was almost 9 years ago now. My mom passed away. But then the years after that were so crazy. You know, in the next year, I had like 3 other family members die. My cat I had for 19 years died. And then I moved, which is like a big change, right? And then what happened right after I moved? The pandemic happened. And then politically, it's also been so crazy. But anyway, let's continue on. And then it got better without me realizing it over time. That's a great comment, actually. One thing, that's some good advice. Because sometimes these things that we feel are just temporary, right? We're like, I'm just not feeling the love. And sometimes we get it in our mind, like, we're not going to feel that love ever again. But that's just not true. Like, if you truly love something, you put years, months worth of effort into it, you still love that thing, you know? Now, sometimes should you break up with things? I don't know. Not so easily. You know, I think you should really give everything a good, honest try. Anyway, let's continue before I get too emotional. That was a damn good answer. Thank you. You're very welcome, guys. You were right. I love piano since childhood. I have a list of songs I love. Thanks for the tip. Well, that's wonderful to hear. And I knew you had some songs that you loved. All right, guys, any comments or questions about these exercises? What I want you to do the rest of today is to take a look at some of these exercises. Like, if you have not played any of these, start learning those 5-finger exercises, you know, just from C to G. Maybe you haven't learned any scales today. I want you to go out and I want you to learn a new scale, C major scale or something like that. So just spend your time this weekend taking a look at some of this stuff. I do have an announcement. Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure there's a new video coming out. There's still some things I need to work on it after we're done here, actually. But anyway, the schedule is tomorrow a new lesson, and then next week we're going to have a live stream, same time on Saturday. And then Sunday is going to be a new lesson, and then the next week a new live stream on Saturday, new lesson on Sunday, and that's the schedule. Live stream Saturday, new lesson Sunday. Got it? Good. Let me just look through these exercises one last time to kind of see if there's anything else. Oh, I've played this one too, I think. Anything else I want to talk about with these? They really, you know what? These really increase. I never looked super far. Well, this isn't super far into it, but there's a lot of interesting patterns here. Let me just sight read a little bit. Oh, I missed the F sharp. I made a mistake. So when I first started to play this exercise, I should have showed you the piano as well. One thing I did not do was this. So when you first look at a piece, you should actually be on the lookout for a few things before you start. One is your key signature, which tells you what sharps or flats. And that's what I didn't look at. I didn't see that we had an F sharp in this piece. And that's why when I got to the end of the passage, I did this. I knew right away, ooh, that doesn't sound right. It was like that. So always look at your key signature or time signature before you begin. Key signature is also important for time. I would also just make sure that you're counting in your head 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, and I messed the F sharp there. So I'd be really careful, slow it down, make sure I got that F sharp. And then you notice how it says pianissimo right here and morendo and crescendo. Don't worry about those at first when you're sight reading for the first time. Remember that it's layered like a cake, starting with getting the right notes and the right hand position. And then next on the cake is getting the right rhythm. Then the next on the cake is getting the like the finer details in there, like dynamics. And then the last layer of the cake was what? Speed. That's right. I know you said speed, right? All right. Delensky and everyone, thanks a lot. Love Tim's community. Well, I love that you're here, Muffin. Okay, let me do this. Let me get you guys a link to something real quick. Actually, you know what? We'll do this. What I want you to do, as soon as we're done here, we'll end in about 5 minutes. I want you to go to the link in the description. Let me make sure I have this right. Let me check the description. And there's going to be a link in there called, it's right at the top. It's called New Course for Piano Beginners. I want you to watch all of the lessons in that playlist, you know, throughout the next week or so. Some of you probably have been keeping up. Maybe you've seen all those lessons, and that's totally cool. But if you're new here and you kind of want to start from the ground up, check out that link I have in the description. In fact, guys and gals, I'm going to put it right there in the chat. All right, any last minute comments or questions? I'm trying to think if I have any announcements to give you guys. I don't think that I do, but I'll stick around another minute or two to kind of see. Other than that, I don't think I have anything to announce. Like I said, new lessons coming out on Sunday, live streams on Saturday. I think if you understand that, we'll be on the same page. All right, everybody. I assume we're not going to have any last-minute comments or questions, which is totally fine. I want to say thank you to all those that came over today to say hello and chat. Muffin, thanks. We got the janitor guy. Thank you very much. Alyssa Baker, thanks for coming. Easy Zelinsky, thanks for coming. If I mispronounce your name or forget to say hi, don't take offense. APB, Sam, thanks for coming, our wonderful, gracious mod. And I just want to quickly say thank you to all those that have supported the channel over the years, from people that sign up for courses over on my website, to the regular viewers, to mods, to channel members, and especially the mods. Thank you so much. And let's continue on here. Oh, Leanne was here today. Thanks for coming. Trixie, you both are pretty Block Nerd. Thanks for coming. I think I've seen you before. And yeah, I think I've said hi to everybody. Thank you, you say. All right, guys, it's been your piano teacher, Tim, here. You know who it is by now. And I'll see you in the next lesson, which is tomorrow. Bye-bye. Also, leave a like.